Deactivate.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to This Pink Cloud. I am DJ Kelly Reverb. Thank you, Chad. We're a show that is all about multiple pathways to recovery, all that kind of good stuff, mental health. Speaking of mental health, everybody, give it up for Chad Lamons, a.k.a. Chad Bungus. What's up, Chad? Chad Dingus.
I was just like,
chewing
in
your
my
gum.
head. Yeah, in my head while you were talking, I was like, man, I'm just going to start fucking chewing my gum really loud.
There
And
we
then
go.
he's not going to be able to edit that shit out.
Okay.
So anytime you start saying something important, heads up, dude.
You're going to start chewing your gum? Nice. Dude, I
Yeah,
love
dude.
it.
I love the way that
Please,
sounds.
please do
All
so.
right. I didn't put your name tag up, though. I put mine up.
Okay, good for you. All right.
Don't forget, you're a RSPS, a
Yeah,
recovery
a
whisperer.
I'm a RISPA.
He's a Rispis.
Yeah, RISPA.
Rispis.
Anyway, I'm always excited to have this young lady in. She is what they call, or what we call, a hope influencer.
Which you named.
Which we branded her.
You branded me.
her. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Soraya Nicole.
Thank you. Thanks, Chad.
You're so welcome.
Thanks, Chad.
If I had $1 for every time somebody said that, I'd have $2.
Because I said
Lovely.
it twice today.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nobody ever pays me in gum.
Never pays me in gum. All right, and I'm excited to have this man on, Mike Land, actually, and you have the 25preston7.com
Correct.
is your organization that
Yep.
you have. But I hear there is quite a shit show of recovery prior to your organization starting. As you were pointing out rehabs out the window.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking across at Bumpsy over there, and when I was 18 years old, I did my second stint in rehab, 28 days over there. That was my choice.
Yeah.
That one.
Well, first off, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming on. And then, just why don't you give us your kind of your backstory?
Yeah. Basically, backstory started in the 80s. I
Okay.
started drinking bourbon and didn't think anything was wrong with it.
Were you listening to the Beastie Boys, Licensed to Ill?
yeah.
Nice.
Everything.
Okay, I was too.
Everything back then.
Yeah.
And I think I was a junior, and I decided to try cocaine.
Okay.
And that really went well.
Yeah.
I was doing
of
it
course.
very, very well.
Right.
Probably doing a couple of 8 balls a weekend.
It smells really good.
Yes, yes. Chase that smell
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and that's when my parents put me in my first rehab at 17.
Oh, okay.
So,
What high school were you at?
I went to Thomas Jefferson.
Okay.
In
All right.
Dallas. So started off at W.T. White and had to get
Transferred already. Okay.
well. They actually changed the zones in Dallas, so
You got rezoned.
I got rezoned.
Gotcha.
And went over to Thomas Jefferson. So,
Okay.
started drinking, started doing cocaine. Parents took me in the first rehab, and when I got there, they said, "Well, you're an adult at 17. You don't have to stay." So what did I do? I called my dealer, and he came and picked me up at the rehab.
Hell yeah.
Right.
So he brought a bunch of X and some Coke and just lived it up. And I actually did X back when it was legal.
Oh yeah.
So-
Oh yeah. It was a thing like Start Club. They would
Yeah.
just hand it out. Yeah.
Party at Start Club, Deep Ellum down here, Lower Greenville.
We were probably in the same
Yep.
same building
Yeah.
at some point.
Yep. So got out of rehab, or didn't stay in rehab. Next couple of years, just messed around. Finally put myself in rehab at 19.
How did the not going to rehab go over with the parents?
Not very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I stayed gone for about a week, lived with a friend of mine, and then finally they took me back. I mean, I grew up in a house of drinkers, and they weren't what you would call hardcore alcoholics or anything, but that was
Right.
our lifestyle.
Sure.
Was we drank every weekend, we had the pool, we went out to the boat, did whatever.
Right.
So drinking was normal.
Yeah, it was part of the landscape.
Yeah, I just messed up and threw cocaine in there.
Right. I gotcha.
I remember when my dad
Well,
came-
it's not their fault that they didn't know.
well, it's always
You
the
know?
parents' fault.
Yeah.
Yes.
I always blame it on the parents.
Right,
They could
right.
have used a condom. So. But I do remember my dad coming up to see me at the hospital across the street, and he said, "Why couldn't you have just done pot? It was a lot cheaper."
Right.
So I remember that. But no, I did pretty well for a number of years. Got back into it after college, and then got pregnant with my first wife. And we had my
okay.
first son. That's when I decided, hey, it's time to give it up. So, First misdemeanors, I guess, and then got a divorce from her. My drinking caused a lot of the problems with the divorce.
I imagine that.
Yep. And,
Right.
so we divorced when he was 1. And then a few years later, decided to pick up a third DWI, which is a felony.
Ah, yes, that old dreaded third
Yep.
DWI, yes.
Yeah, and that kind of changed things a little bit.
When did they change it from a DWI to a DUI?
There's both.
Well,
Driving
there's
under the
both.
influence is when you are on something, right? But DWI is when they can prove that you have had alcohol in your system and you're
I thought it had to
limit.
do with like the where you were at with it.
I don't know.
Like DUI was
Different.
like
Under the
0.08 and
influence.
over, and then if it was under that,
I don't know,
then
Chad.
it was
Look,
DWI.
Chad,
Yeah, tell us,
Chad, hold on. Chad, look it up and tell her she's wrong.
Well, I think DUI, sometimes they give to minors as well.
Okay.
And I know different states, like in Arizona, it's
Yeah, that's
DUI.
true.
Gotcha.
So,
I'm Googling it, man.
All right. So anyway,
yeah, I got my third DWI, and about 4 years after that, I lost my son, my first son. And
Okay.
he died in April, and I was down in Houston with
Okay.
a sales meeting.
what like give us a time frame. So like you got your third DUI at like what age?
2001, I was probably 30,
So-
31, something like that.
Okay, so like right around 2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so after my son died, I remember just going down to Houston for a sales meeting. And I actually got pulled over by a cop in Houston. And I was sober,
Right.
dead sober. And I got out of the police car, and I started walking to the front of the police car. And he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm getting in front of the camera." He said, "We don't do work that way down here in Houston."
Right.
He said, "I'm arresting you for DWI."
Okay.
And I said, "I'll do a sobriety test. I'll blow." And I've known you never blow.
Right.
But I was so confident. I went down to the police station. I said, "Let's do a test." He said, "We don't do that here." Got booked in the next morning. My lawyer said, "Got some good news and some bad news. The good news is the officer that arrested you is being indicted
Okay.
on over 400 false DWI claims."
All right.
And he took off.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So they gave me a bond because I was on felony probation for $100,000.
All right.
And we finagled a way to do, because my son had just died, we finagled a way to drop it down to a misdemeanor, time served.
Okay.
The bad thing was when I admitted to guilt, I came back, they revoked my probation in Collin County. And they said, "Oh, you're going away for 10 years. Sold the house, sold everything, turned myself in, went in front of the judge, and he said, "Is that Bill Lindsay case down in Houston? You know, that cop?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Go back home. You're on
Right.
probation."
Okay.
I was like shocked.
Wow.
So, got off probation there. And then I decided that 4 wasn't enough. So in 2016, I said, "Why not get a 5th one?" So I was at the Lee Bryce concert, and I was sitting in Frisco at Gators. I think if it's still there.
Yeah.
Across FC Dallas. And I got basically another DWI from Frisco PD. And I thought, well, it's cool. It's been 10 years. It drops down to a misdemeanor.
Oh yeah.
No.
No.
It
Not in Texas. They changed
right,
that law, yeah.
Changed right after that. So was waiting to go to court in February. I was down in Corpus, and I decided 2 nights before I was going to court. I was down there on business. I said, "I'm going to have a couple of drinks. Might as well. I'm about to get nailed."
Yeah.
I get a DWI in Corpus.
Oh nice.
So I picked up my 6th one. So.
Wow.
Needless to
And
say,
with the whole time, were you also using cocaine as well?
no. I quit cocaine.
That's what I always call that the drinker's companion.
All right.
So
Yeah.
you do the cocaine so you actually can drink more.
right.
Yeah.
And I've never done cocaine in my life without
Right.
drinking first.
Yeah.
I mean, I never just went out. and
Yeah,
did cocaine,
no.
So.
There is the rare occasion of people that will just go and do cocaine. I'm like, what's wrong with you, man?
Yeah,
you just
didn't make sense.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I did cocaine one time. Well, before I was like shooting it up, but like when I was still drinking and shooting heroin, I did cocaine one time when I wasn't drinking, and I was like, "This is the fucking biggest waste of money
know.
I've ever seen." I was
Yeah.
like, "I'm never doing this again." And then I got drunk and was like, "Cool, let's do some more coke." But
Right.
everybody, Daddy Chatty is here, and he has the information
Oh my
from the DWI
Oh,
to
okay.
DUI.
Let's hear it.
So in Texas, DWI is defined as driving while intoxicated, as when a vehicle is in operation in public. Someone's a drunk driver if their mental and or physical faculties have been impacted due to alcohol, a controlled substance, or dangerous drug use. BAC of .08 or above establishes intoxication. DUI also involves operating a vehicle while intoxicated. The charges are different. A DUI can come into play even with a BAC below .08. The difference is that a person can be charged with a DUI if there's any amount of an impairing agent in the driver's system or if they are underage. And a minor is automatically considered to be driving under the influence with any measurable amount of alcohol present in their system under state law.
Well, there you go, dude. Thank you for that lengthy
Say thank you to who?
Thank you for that lengthy and
Thank
somewhat
you. Say it,
boring
say it.
explanation.
Thank you to who?
Chittleman's.
No.
Chad Bungus?
No. Say it, dude. Say it. Daddy Chatty, dude. Say it.
Daddy
Say
Chatty.
it, dude. Say it, dude.
That's
said
kind of
it.
creepy. But anyway, back to Mike. Dude, that's creepy. Hold on. That's creepy that Chad wants me to call
Say it,
him.
dude.
I said it and he didn't even care.
Yeah, I know he wants he
just want Kelly to say it,
another
dude.
Red flag.
He wants another man to call him Daddy Chatty.
He said it. He said it.
He said it. He said it. Anyway, coming from the guy that masturbates in front of 62 men simultaneously. Yeah, dude. Chad and I were having this discussion about in his jail.
I just envision it as an orgy.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Great.
Anyway, well,
Shut
there,
the fuck up.
hey,
dude.
there you there you go, Daddy Chatty. Are you happy now?
That was left.
This is a clip, dude, for sure.
All right. So anyway, sorry about that.
No
you
problem.
just that happens every once in a while, and we publicly shit on each other. So we were at 6 DUIs,
6
I believe.
DUIs. Yeah, and then in 2019, I had a sanction where I messed up on probation.
Okay.
And they basically said, you're going to prison. So I turned myself in November of 19, and then COVID came about in 20. And so I'd spent about 6 months in there, and then they locked everybody up 23 hours a day in the cell up in Collin County. And they weren't picking up chain for prison or anything like that. And I just told my lawyer, I said, can you get them to knock it down to like 5 years or 3 years? Because then I'll only do a year or two. And in May, he came back and he said, well, they wouldn't come off the 10, but they'll put you back on probation. They didn't want anybody in prison.
Oh,
They were
okay.
trying to keep people out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
got out of prison or got out of jail, and it was actually kind of scary because I had actually turned my life over to Christ back in 2016,
Okay.
and I had no worries in jail.
Did you have any kind of religious upbringing as well?
No, well, my parents took me to church on Saturday or Sundays.
Yeah.
And they sprinkled water on me in 1969.
Right. Right.
So I don't remember it.
Right. Yeah. No, but you were actively a Christian in 2016.
Yeah, that's how I actually, the reason that came about is I actually went to Grace to Change.
Okay.
Where
Shout out Grace to Change.
Yep.
Yeah, of course.
So I went there in 2016 and finished
When
up.
did you start showing up at Grace to Change?
Well, originally I showed up there and then they had me arrested, and that was in probably like 2016, something like that.
Yeah, but that
2016,
wasn't-
2017. But when I started showing up, this last time was in last year. You know,
So
after
yeah,
got
I
out
just
of jail.
didn't know if y'all were there at the same time hanging out.
No.
No?
This
Okay.
time we are.
Okay.
Because I still
Cool.
go up there.
Right.
So I, when I finished IOP, I had met a girl there. And I remember she was sitting behind me, and she was just talking about how bad her life was. Her kids were gone. She was divorced. Her current husband didn't want anything to do with her, and she seemed happy. And I was like, what's the deal?
Right. What's the
You
catch?
Drinking on the side
Yeah.
or something like that. And she goes, you really want to know? And I said, yeah. She goes, well, I'll pick you up Wednesday and take you somewhere. All right, she took me, and we drove up into the parking lot of a church, and I just go, oh boy, a Jesus freak.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Uh-huh.
So no, I went in, and they have a program called Steps.
Okay.
And it's kind of like AA, but biblically, I mean, it's on
Yeah.
steroids.
Sure.
And I ended up joining there. I ended up mentoring people, doing everything. So I turned my life over in 2017 actually. So was doing that group for a long time at Steps, and and then all of a sudden I get this call. I was kind of back and forth to Phoenix. I was living in Phoenix part-time, and here still on probation. And in January, I'll go back. I tried to retire from working for kind of Yale School of Medicine in 2019,
Okay.
and decided I'm going to go out on my own and become a consultant. Bad timing. COVID happened.
Right. Yeah.
So I ended up getting a new job with a company now, a pharmaceutical company. And I remember I started on January 4th, 2021, and I was celebrating in Phoenix. You know, we got some steak and shrimp and was cooking. In fact, we were watching this show called The Pharmacist. I don't know if y'all have ever seen it on Netflix.
Okay.
It's about the guy that he was a pharmacist down in Louisiana, and basically his son died. It was an opioid, or he was killed by a drug dealer, but he brought the fact the opioid epidemic.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember looking at my friend, and I said, man, I've already lost one son. I don't know what would happen if I lost Preston.
Right.
Phone rings, and I get a call from my ex-wife, and she said, Preston's gone. I said, well, gone where? She goes, no, he's dead. She went upstairs and found him dead in his room.
Wow.
So what did I do? I relapsed. Got drunk. Got up the next morning, still drinking, caught a flight back to Dallas. And I just remember saying, I'm either going to go to God or I'm going to hate him. I was drinking on the plane. I landed, and it was a Wednesday morning or Wednesday afternoon. And that group that I went to was called Recovery at the church. And I showed up at Recovery intoxicated, but I went back. So yeah, it was a tough time. You know, and she told me that he died. So.
Well, and then you know, you and I had spoken earlier about what it was that killed him.
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, I thought he was in a good mood.
Right.
I mean, I just talked to him. I had spent Christmas Eve with him.
Sure. So it wasn't like anything he was doing on purpose.
Yeah, and he had money in the bank, so I knew he wasn't depressed. I mean,
Right.
If he had money, he was happy.
Yeah.
And he tried marijuana, or he was still smoking marijuana. He did the THC cartridges and things like that. And I just thought, this doesn't sound right. His little sister, not mine daughter, but he and his little sister went to Whataburger to get some food. It was about 10 o'clock at night. He came home and said, hey, I just want to start gaming because I got the next day off. And literally, he went upstairs. Everybody said, okay. And the next morning, he didn't come down. So his mom went up there and found him.
Right.
And he still had the Whataburger cup in his hand.
Right.
And the other arm was just falling down on the chair.
Right.
Like that. So.
And it was what, a Percocet that was laced with
but
fentanyl,
we didn't know for like 10 weeks because I had to do a toxicology.
Right.
So the first autopsy report came back, said pending investigation.
Right.
And then we got it about 10 weeks later, and it said,
well, that's one of those things that I always, want to take an opportunity to point out is because, I mean, that you don't know, back in the day when we were partying,
Right.
it was cool, you were fine, but now it's just like Russian roulette.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we got the results back. It said acute fentanyl intoxication.
Right.
And basically that was just their way of saying overdose. So I was mad. I mean, I was ticked off at the world. And I didn't even know. I mean, I knew about fentanyl. I'm in the cancer industry, but fentanyl was actually started for chronic, cancer patients.
Sure. Yeah. And that is kind of ironic that you would actually be in that industry where you would know what fentanyl.
Yeah.
Because fentanyl is basically when you're at death's door to alleviate the pain.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, so yeah.
And I mean, I had heard about, Prince died of fentanyl.
Oh yeah.
Tom Petty just recently, or a couple of years ago, he died of fentanyl. I remember doing the funeral when we were there. It was on a Sunday, and it was during COVID still. And I thought nobody's going to show up, but 150 people showed up.
Right.
And the guy that ran the funeral home, he said, "Can you put some music together to run with his slides and everything like that?" My pastor shows up at the funeral, and Coolio's Gangster Paradise is on at my son's funeral.
Right.
He's like, "What's up with that?" And I said, "Well, the story is when his mom and I were going to the hospital that morning to have Preston, she said, whatever song's on the radio, we'll always remember
Right.
what song was on." So
Was that it?
that
Yeah.
was it. And then I just found out a couple of months ago, Coolio died of a fentanyl
Oh yeah.
poisoning. So
Yeah, it's insane the amount that it's happening.
Yeah.
And it's alarming. And I mean, all the stories that we don't hear about, kids like yours.
Yeah.
And that happening. And I think it's very important to, as a parent, to have that dialogue, with your kid, especially with what all's happening out there and the craziness.
Yeah. So I actually got a call, I think it was in July of that year that he passed away, from Collin County Sheriff's Office. And they said, "Hey, the sheriff would like to meet with you." And when you're on felony probation,
Yeah.
That's not a good thing, usually.
and I said, well, when I go up there, which door am I going into? Because I want to make sure that it's not the one to the left.
Right,
It's
yeah.
to the right. And I walked in, and the sheriff's in the back, and he's waving his hand. And I go back there, and we sit down in his office. We sit down on the couch, and he goes, Mike, he goes, I'm going to be honest. I was scared to meet you. And I'm thinking in my mind,
Same here.
I was too.
Yeah.
Because I want to leave here.
Yeah.
So we talked for a while, and he told me about the current situation with fentanyl that he's done, in Collin County with arrest and everything. And he told me that they had about a 700% increase in overdose deaths in Collin County. And that was in July or August of 2021. And then he brought in the rest of his guys and a couple of guys from the DEA, and we sat there and talked. And I just admitted, I said, man, back when I did stuff, the only way you died is you did too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of gave me a thought. He said, I can do everything I can by law enforcement, but I need people like you out there to spread the word to family, to everybody else. And that's when in October of 2022, it just hit me. On his birthday on October 27th of 2022, I just said, you know what? I'm going to go to 25 national parks, because he had been to Big Bend National Park. And we had talked about, hey, let's all, we're going to go hit a bunch of parks.
Right.
So that morning I woke up and I just said, you know what? And for fentanyl awareness, I'm going to go to 25 parks. I'm going to ride my bike 7 miles, and that's where the 25 Preston 7. He was 25 when he died. Ride my bike 7 miles in each park. And when I get there, we decided, hey, we're going to climb to the tallest peak and do a memorial.
Yeah.
So,
and I think Chad's got those pictures that we're pulling up now.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So, we climbed to the tallest peak, and I thought I was in good shape, to be honest with you, because I bike a lot.
Yeah.
And then we climbed up to 9,000 feet.
Where the air gets a little
Right.
thin.
Oh my God, it was tough.
Yeah.
But so I just said I was going to do 25 parks within a year, and I started in November 2022, and then I finished on July 25th of this year.
Right.
Which was kind of cool, because
Yeah.
it was 25/7 and then 7/25 was
Right.
It wasn't planned, but
Right.
the thing that I noticed a lot when we were out at the national parks is everybody would say, "What are y'all doing here?" Because we had some cameras and stuff like that. And I'd say, "Well, I'm bringing awareness to the fentanyl issue." And I would tell them what's going on, and they'd say, "Oh, well, thank God my kid's not a drug addict."
Right.
Yeah.
And I would say, "Then you're the one I want to talk to."
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know in Collin County, the last I heard when I did something with Sheriff Skinner a while back was we're at 1,400% increase in overdose
Right.
in Collin County.
Well, and
70%.
that's the thing you can't, I mean, kids are curious. Kids are kids, and they're going to, want to try stuff like we all did.
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing is it can be just one and done that quick. And I mean, there can be absolutely no history of drug use whatsoever. And you're just, that's what you're dealing with today because of the lovely fentanyl and its popularity of it being out there.
Yeah, and it's 70% are one-time users.
Right. Well, and then you have a website as well, right?
Right.
Go ahead, and what is that website?
Yeah, it's 25preston7.com.
Okay, so, and then on that website, what is that website kind of dedicated to? Walk us through
The
it.
first page is kind of some questions. In fact, Chad helped me out with that, frequently asked questions, and then some interviews I've done with Channel 8, Channel 5, some talks that I've done. I've talked at a couple of churches. And I go around and talk to schools with Shannon from Grace and Chains as well. So we go and do talks.
Sure. Well, let's get into that, but real quick, we're going to throw to commercial.
Okay.
We have lovely Max the Axe. If you go to thispinklawyer.com, it will take you to Lone Star Injury Attorneys. And he practices in Texas, California, so hit him up. He will get you the maximum results for your personal injury attorney. And then we also have some new tracks coming out, which Chad will be so kind. Chad Bungus will be so kind to play for us.
That's what a fucking weird DJ name, dude.
The only thing tonight that we have is us. We're just gonna let this one ride. We're just gonna let this one ride.
bangers in the system. It's like bangers in the
White tee.
bang, 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 bang. Bangers in the system. It's like bangers in the
White tee.
We just turned it into a little dance party.
It's a
Chad.
little dance party.
Oh, I like that one.
That is the Travis Scott remix that we did, and it is actually available on SoundCloud for free download.
Yeah.
Free.
Yeah, so if you go to soundcloud.com, look up Kelly Reverb, it will be on my page, and you can just hit the free download, and it's yours.
Sweet.
And then we also have other stuff streaming, so Spotify, all that good stuff. Be sure and follow us on there. And,
And there's
follow-
some massive stuff coming.
Yeah.
So
Massive.
stay
Follow.
plugged in.
Yeah.
Follow this pink cloud.
Yeah, and follow this pink cloud.
Say that one more time.
Smash that like button,
Follow
brother.
this pink cloud.
The way you just well, you're so innocent now. All of a
I
sudden,
am always innocent.
just follow this.
I have a bat, but I'm still. I would love to stay in my innocence. Okay. Stop playing with me.
Yeah,
all
but
right.
go ahead and smash that like button.
There you go, brother. If you want to see me feed 100 sandwiches to homeless people, smash that like button.
I like that.
Like and subscribe if you want to see me run my head straight through this brick wall.
Yes. I have a question though for our
Yeah,
guest
let's hear
here.
this.
Okay,
Okay.
so I liked how you said poisoning.
Right.
Because just the word itself from like overdose to poisoning is such, I think just mentally, right? People accept the fact of like, oh, poisoning, like they didn't expect that to be in there versus overdose is like, we all kind of have this mindset that
Yeah,
overdose is like,
overdose is doing too much.
right.
Right.
And
Well,
knowing that you're doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what I heard from a lot of people that when I was doing the 25 parks, people would comment in and they'd say, there were haters out there. They
Yeah.
would say, your son got what he's an addict.
Oh,
so
yeah.
He got what
Right.
he's coming to.
Yeah, exactly. He was asking for
Yeah.
it.
So
Yeah.
the cool thing now is we've become a friend, Stephanie Turner. She started Tucker's Law in the state of Texas, which was passed by Greg Abbott. Her son, Tucker, that died of a fentanyl poisoning. And what it is now is like my son, going back to that, his autopsy said acute fentanyl intoxication.
Yeah.
Now that says fentanyl poisoning. What that means is now you have a murder charge
Yeah.
involved with it.
No, and I think that's a good thing because people, well, I mean, the dealers, it holds them, liable
Right.
for some, murder.
It is.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was doing the summit, the DEA summit up in Oklahoma a couple of months ago. And at the end of it, they asked, there are probably 7 or 8 of us parents there. And Chavez, the director here, he said, everybody, if you could just say your child's name that passed away or your family member. And the second person said their child's name. And then she said, and they arrested the guy and he's doing 15 years in prison. And everybody started clapping. And the next person, they would clap and clap and clap. And when it got to me, I was like, I don't know the person. But I said, I've forgiven that person in my heart because it was probably not a cartel member that sold it to my son.
Yeah.
And I said, and this is what I talk to people at school, the parents. I said, yes, you have a chance of your kid dying of fentanyl poisoning by getting a pill or bad, THC cards. It's in vape pens. It's in everything.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Right.
And I said, but what if your son or your daughter, if I was to give you
Yeah.
a pill,
Right.
you die, I get a murder charge.
Right.
So you can have that as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So I said, and most of these dealers out there don't even know what they're getting.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so they're just passing it on,
Yeah.
and they're not actually the source of it.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah, and I
but
think that,
I think that's important that what he said about the THC cartridge.
yeah, they've
That fentanyl is in weed. Okay, so you want to smoke weed? Well,
Yeah.
guess what? Oh, there could be fentanyl in it.
Oh yeah, I have friends of mine, and they're spraying marijuana
Yeah.
with powder with fentanyl. Because I have a lot of friends that say, "Hey, well, he's just smoking pot, and he knows where he gets it from." And I
Yeah.
said, "Well, first off, that's the dumbest thing that you can say is, of course,
Right.
you know where you're getting it from, or you wouldn't get it."
Yeah,
Second thing is you don't know unless you're growing it,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
and you don't know. And we just had there was a high school in McKinney
Yep.
3 weeks ago that somebody, did I tell you about that one?
Yeah, you and Shannabelle told me about that.
Yeah. So she was in high school, and now that vape pens are outlawed in school. So if you're caught
Right.
with a vape pen, you're sent to alternative school.
right.
And they had to go test it
Immediately.
and everything.
And
Yeah.
the SRO went and tested it, came back and had fentanyl in the vape pen.
Oh wow.
So
and she
she got-
probably didn't.
She didn't
was-
know.
Yeah.
So she got arrested.
Yeah.
And it, like the implications of that are insane because had she let somebody hit that vape pen,
Yep.
Right.
and then they died from fentanyl overdose just from her wanting to smoke, murder charge.
Yep.
yeah.
So like the people are unaware of the severity of this whole thing. And so I did all those clips right with you guys. So there was something really important that you and Shannon both said, right? And that's like the testing for fentanyl, pre and post mortem, right?
Right.
So will you explain a little bit of that and the way that the state of Texas works right now with their ass being so fucking far behind the
So
the
how to
starting
test for
line?
fentanyl?
Yeah.
Okay, so nobody that I know of test fentanyl except for Grace to Change.
Yep.
They actually have a panel that will test to see if there's fentanyl.
Well,
in
and there was supposedly like fentanyl testing, like where it's illegal to have that.
the
as-
test strips.
Yeah.
Now,
They're
you're-
considered paraphernalia.
Chad, what you're talking about is if you want to test your child or somebody.
Right.
Yeah, I'm talking about both though, because like you
Yeah.
cannot legally get test strips.
Yeah, test strips are not legal in the state of Texas because they consider that like a paraphernalia.
which is fucking
Which is-
insane.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oklahoma has it. A lot of other states
Yep.
do.
Right.
You can still get them. I'm not promoting,
Yeah.
but you can get them.
Right.
But the bad thing about that is let's say that you've got a bag of cocaine and you stick it in one side and it comes out and it's good. Or you take a pill and you test it and that pill's good. I mean, 7 out of the 10 pills now that the DEA confiscates have fentanyl in it. So you could have had the 3 that are good,
Yeah.
but the other ones are bad. So
Yeah.
but you can't test for
It's
like
not like they're doing it like per pill, like they
No.
would in a laboratory, or
yeah, and
in
I've
a manufacturing
seen
plant.
I've seen how they're making the fentanyl because everybody asks why are they killing their customers? It's bad for business.
Right.
But the thing is you can, literally down in Mexico, they'll get 55-gallon drums. Mm-hmm. They'll dump a pound of fentanyl in there, crushed up a bunch of pills, throw it in there, throw it with a bunch of filler, and they're just stirring it around.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd be like up here, if you and I decide to get a pound of fentanyl, we're not chemists.
No.
we don't
Right.
know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So that's the big issue.
There's no way to make sure that there's any sort of uniformity.
Yeah, there's
between,
no
between
control.
levels.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no quality control or anything
Right.
like that. But another interesting thing that I found out recently too is it is fucked up the cartel's business so bad because of this fentanyl thing that now the cartel's threatening their own fucking dealers
Okay.
to a certain extent because it's like their main pipelines that they used to have are now getting fucked up because the DEA's they're just cracked the fuck down on a lot of this stuff.
Well, I mean, and this is kind of an out there, and I've kind of brought this up before, but I mean, honestly, I think if we looked at legalizing certain drugs and having them regulated, that there wouldn't be a need for your fentanyl and all this stuff. I mean, that's my personal thought on it because, like, okay, if I can go to 7-Eleven and I get a pamphlet, like you do with cigarettes or,
Right.
or whatever that says, yeah, these are bad for you, and if you need help, go here or whatever. And I think if we did that and allocated that money towards like the treatment and awareness of it, I think it would be. But I mean, that's like saying, oh, we'll legalize drugs. I mean, I mean, it's tough, but I think,
You're going to be damned if you do and damned if you
Yeah.
don't, no matter what.
yeah. So,
Well, going back to what you just said though
Yeah.
about the cartel knocking off their own guys, what that is I actually heard from a guy. I won't mention his name, but he was a director of special operations for the DEA. He's retired. He actually was one of the guys that got El Chapo, and he contacted me from DC, and we talk every once in a while. And I asked him about why is the cartel taking these guys out. He said, well, they're trying to make it publicly look like they're doing
Yeah,
some
it could be a
good.
they're
PR
the
stunt.
good guys.
No,
Yeah.
it's guys going rogue on their own.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're taking the guys out that are trying to split off.
Yeah.
That's who they're
Right.
taking out. So
Yeah, it's not like
It's not like, oh, we're
the
doing some bad things.
The
so-
cartel has like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's the cartel Christmas policy. Let's all like
Well, they got a hell of a PR guy
Yes.
that's running that because that's. I mean, that is smart, but it's like obviously none of them went to fucking business school,
Right.
but like the basic concept of supply and demand, and that's why people are like, why are they killing their customers? They're not trying to kill their fucking customers.
Well, and now that you can actually buy, because here's how you can invest in fentanyl. You can buy a pound of fentanyl for $20,000. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can buy a pill press online for about $5,000.
Oh yeah.
So you got $25,000 in. With that, you'll make $20 million.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
So-
thought about that as like, because I actually looked into that, and you can I can have
I
like
wouldn't
overnight.
recommend dealing.
No, but I'm just no, but I'm just saying a pill press.
Yeah.
So maybe put some more restrictions on a pill press, where
So the thing with that is like the way that they catch the shit going through the mail is they scan things, right?
Right.
Those are so hard or so much harder to look for, right? Especially if they're not coming, because the ones that have been coming over that they're starting to tag people for are the ones that have been made in China because
That's
they
where they're coming
discontinued the
from.
pills,
Yep.
right? So then they were like, okay, cool. Now we can fucking make this thing since there's no whatever on it. So then that's been coming over from China. So all the fucking shit from China is getting checked more often than the other stuff. But if that gets outsourced to another country and then to here, you can still fucking get it over. Yeah. And like this has been going on. The whole pill press thing's been going on for a long fucking time. And that's how all these fake Xanax started showing up.
Well, and I'm just saying, put more regulations on the pill press. I mean, I know it's not going to solve everything, but
No.
at least it will be another hurdle,
Right.
and
Yeah.
create a hell of a secondary market for used pill presses.
Yeah,
You
there's
know?
just so much trade that happens between countries like that. It is almost impossible for us to catch. It is impossible for us to catch every single little thing that comes in to the country.
Well, that's how it works. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody will tell me, well, they're catching all of it. I mean, yes, the DEA alone caught last year enough doses, lethal doses, to kill, 450 million Americans. That's just the DEA.
Yeah.
You're not talking about local law enforcement, Border Patrol. And here's how it works, and you guys probably know this. When the cartel sends somebody over, they're going to have 10 mules going at one time.
Yeah.
Same amount. And they know that a couple of them are going to get picked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is on the border. I mean, they're
Yeah.
doing the same thing. The gotaways that everybody hears about, those are the guys that are maybe taking the other 9 loads out at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So they're probably catching like and
They're catching
that's wild.
5%.
They're catching like 5 to 10% tops,
Yeah.
dude.
So they estimate that there's enough fentanyl in the United States to kill, what was it, something like 28 billion people
Right.
in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what would you? I mean, what?
And hold on,
go
real
ahead.
quick.
Yeah.
So the back to the who can test for fentanyl, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So to test, if you want to test to see if somebody's on fentanyl, the only place that I know of around here is Grace to Change and the medical examiner.
Right.
Yep.
That's it. Hospitals don't even test for
No.
Can you
fentanyl.
get online something that will test for it? Like, because I mean, I know you can buy the UA cups on Amazon.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
All right.
There
there's
is.
a specific type of pH
Yeah.
or whatever enzyme
Right.
kit that they sell for fentanyl, but those are like extremely hard to get a hold of. And from what I understand, that would also classify as part of that fucking fentanyl testing kit thing,
Yep.
where you could get fucking in trouble for it, which is the stupidest thing on the
Well,
planet.
so okay, so being so involved in the fentanyl awareness, what would you suggest? Other than what you're doing, like to raise awareness, what would you suggest personally, like, or what would you like to see happen?
Like globally,
Yeah, I mean, just either globally or locally, whatever.
well, I'll go globally first.
Yeah.
What our president did not do was put the sanctions back on China,
Okay.
saying that if you continue to send the fentanyl over, then we're putting sanctions on you. Doing
Right.
the same thing with with Mexico. The Chinese cartel has already built places in Mexico that they're there. So, and close the border. Is that going to get rid of everything? No, but it's going to allow our border agents to basically start doing their job and not become travel agents down there. And that's the issue. I mean, we've got, 2 million gotaways that came across. And we've got other things. And when I've driven on these national park things, and I've stopped by the Border Patrol.
Oh yeah.
And their big thing right now, of course, is the drugs. But the next biggest thing, and we won't have to get into that, is the sex trafficking.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that they're seeing right now, because it's more money than the drugs.
Sure.
Because you can take a child, a bag of cocaine, you use it and it's gone. Take a child, sad to say, you can use that child over and over and over.
yeah.
So I know that I can't, because I spent the first year ticked off. I mean, I was contacting every politician that I could, everybody that I could. And at the end of the day, I just said, as a parent, I can do one thing, and that's just get out there and speak about the fentanyl issue, because first off, nobody knows about it,
Right.
unless they're into it. And I just tell parents, like Preston, he was on Vyvanse for ADHD.
Right.
And we're in a society right now that a pill will fix everything.
Yep.
Whether it's weight loss, whatever it is. We're just so used to it. And kids will say, well, I'm on a prescription for this. And somebody says, I'm hurt. You got a pain pill? It's easy to take a pain pill.
Yeah.
That's what you have to watch out for, because we're just so used to a pill fixing everything.
Right.
I'm not. I'm trying to be on the preventative side
Mm-hmm.
because I've spoken to the addicts on the streets and everything that, they're doing fentanyl.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
know that they're going to die.
Yeah.
As an
They're-
addict, we all know we're taking that chance.
Right.
So I'm wanting to talk to the people that are not, to be preventative.
Yeah.
To talk
Yeah.
to them.
It's like the best course of action with where we're currently at, which sucks, right?
Yeah.
Is it's always going to be damage control, and the most damage control that you can do is in prevention,
Right.
right? It's in awareness, it's in this, it's in that. Now, like, yeah, the whole issue with like legalization and then like decriminalizing things, like that would be cool or whatever, but there's such a long-winded conversation that has to happen over decades
Yeah.
for that shit to get in order. The best thing we can do right now is to just fucking tell people.
Yes.
Tell people,
Yeah,
spread the
raise
fucking
awareness.
message.
Yeah.
That's as citizens, that's what we can fucking do.
Yeah.
Until everybody else wants to get their shit in order and have all their fucking meetings for years. That's what happens. So
The mental illness,
Yeah.
depression. I mean, especially coming out of COVID,
Yeah.
isolation and everything. That's what I tell parents when I'm at the high schools. I just tell the parents, watch it. Watch your kids. And a lot of the kids don't want to listen to the parents, and they sure don't want to listen to some guy like me standing up on stage.
Sure.
So I tell the kids, look, if you've got a buddy
Yeah.
and he or she is depressed that day, keep checking on them.
Right.
Yeah.
Because one thing that's happened is all the parents that I've talked to that have lost a child, I would say 90% of them all found their child upstairs or down the hall in their bedroom alone dead.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not like they're at a party or doing anything like that. They,
Right.
Yeah.
they get a pill, they go home, and they're by themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that can happen. And I mean, especially, I've had friends, that have relapsed like that and nodded off, and it could have been curtains.
Yep.
So
And the tolerance, because we've actually got a guy at Grace to Change. I won't mention his name, but
Yeah.
he told me how many pills he was doing a day.
yeah.
And then when you get sober, because that's what happens. People say, well, why is somebody...
Oh, yeah, your
the
tolerance. Yeah.
And I flat out told him, I said, you know what's going to happen? You out there next time.
Yeah.
Your tolerance is down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go to
you're
the
out of
next
there.
One.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah, most of the people that do end up dying from fentanyl poisoning, they are completely opiate naive.
Yep.
And they're taking something that they either might have known was or thought was a Percocet, but let's just be real here. They quit making those Percocet
blues.
pills and the blue pills, right? And the white Percocet pills look nothing like the blue ones that they were making. Those were Inbox 30s or K30s that were oxycodone, and they were 30 milligram pills. That's the pill presses that they're getting in and saying that they're perks because whatever industry decided to fucking start labeling it as that. I'm not pointing fingers, but that became a big thing in the media or whatever. But there is no real blue small Percocet anymore. That they have not existed for I forget how many years.
they quit it in, I want to say 2020 or 2021.
Yeah.
Malincrot, I think, was the pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
Well, you're
Mallinckrodt.
actually in that industry, so you would
they,
know.
They
Yeah.
quit making... And everybody says, of course, the kids don't know
No.
out on the street.
Right.
And people say that, but you could also have grandma that had a Percocet in her
Oh, yeah.
cabinet or
From
something like
yeah.
that.
2017.
And I will say to some people, I've done these talks before, and a lot
Sure.
of people will get up there and say, if you don't get it from a doctor, from a pharmacy, or your parents, don't take it. No, take the parents out.
Right.
Because,
Yeah, parents.
I'm a parent. What if
Yeah.
I had a pill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have a sealed thing from a pharmacy or from a doctor, don't take it. Because,
Right.
we could have had a pill.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was bad. So,
Sure.
don't take it from your parents.
Right,
So-
right. And then just, but I think that's so important about, and it actually is concerning about the vape pen and the weed, with fentanyl. I mean,
Right.
because, weed's no big deal, right? So, but it can be. It can be lights out if you're, you get the wrong thing.
Yeah, I've got a friend in Vermont. A father that I've met, and he's up in Vermont, and they're losing a lot of people from smoking marijuana
Yeah.
with fentanyl.
Yeah. The
there've been a
pods
lot
or
of vape,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now you've got the Chinese that have bought so much farmland up in Maine that they're running pot farms up there.
Right.
So, it's all over the United
Yeah.
States. But
Well, anything would you want to talk about, or in closing, or anything you'd like to plug, or do you have any upcoming speaking engagements or anything like that?
actually, I'm off for a couple of weeks, which is kind of nice.
Okay,
Not having
cool.
any talks.
Right.
I'm going to go back out there next year and do probably going to do something else with the 25 Preston 7, but
Okay.
I know in 2025 I am setting a goal of I'm reversing it. I did 25 parks, 7 miles, and now I'm going to do 25 miles on 7 continents.
Or 7 continents.
7
Nice.
continents.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
So
And then just go and basically raise awareness and
Yeah.
talk to media when you're there. And is that kind of the plan? Is
That's
that
the
what you
plan.
do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
and I'm on the board of Serenity High School
okay.
up in McKinney, Texas. It's a recovery high school
Uh-huh.
that basically students that say have gone into rehab
Okay.
and then they get out. If you throw them back into what I call general population in the
Yeah.
school, what are they going to do? They're going to go back to their
Yeah.
old friends
Sure.
and everything. So
Right.
it's a high school where you're with everybody in there is in recovery.
Yeah.
So it helps.
Yeah.
out. I mean, the biggest thing I do is like you said, spread the word.
Right.
Yeah.
That was
Right.
my goal, was to say one person. And I've probably had thousands of people that have said, thank you. I finally talked to my child.
Yeah.
I'm aware of it.
I think that dialogue is huge.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And we've lost, and I will say the numbers, it's scary. I've spread the numbers out. Like my son, he was born in 95 and died in 21. For the 25 years he was alive, we lost 59,000 people in all the wars that we were in.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, we lost 107,000 people to overdose and
Yeah.
70,000. And it used to be 300 people were dying a day. We just got the new numbers. It's 400 are dying a day.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, that's 2 plane crashes
Yeah.
a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I try and make it specific. Like when I did Frisco, they had 5,200 students that walked across the stage last year, graduated.
Right.
I said, that's 2 weeks of people. You
Yeah.
got to make it hit home.
Yeah.
And
For
scare
sure.
them. So.
Yeah. Well, I applaud what you're doing with raising awareness and actually being, able to, because shit, you got to be still processing the loss of your son,
Yeah.
so.
Well, you just take that loss, and I take it as I had a gift for
Yeah.
25 years with my son.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to lose our children. Not supposed. I lost both of my children.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah.
So I used to do it for some good.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, and that's like something that's like incredible about this whole thing is you see a lot of people that they want to sit around and they want to point fingers and blame people and stuff like that. And I would totally understand that. Like anybody in their right mind would do that. But then you see people like you that are going out and using it to try and help somebody else.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because so you don't get caught in that cycle of just repetitive whatever. And I know it probably crops back all the time and stuff like that, but it's incredible and it's really inspiring to see people going out there and using such a negative thing to try and impact the world in a positive way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we commend you on that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't plan on doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Yeah,
could have
yeah,
just
yeah,
sat at
no.
home, but I never thought I'd be doing a speaking engagement at a Girl Scout function.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah.
I made a joke. I said, if my son's looking down at me, he's laughing at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing there? So,
Yeah.
but,
And so, what's the website again? So
it's
people can go-
www.25preston7.com.
Okay, and then can they also donate there? to help,
I stopped
or-
the donation.
Okay.
But I am starting one probably in January. A
Okay.
foundation. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to donate money to.
Right.
And one of the things that actually hit me is when Preston died, you do the funeral.
Yeah.
When you go up there, you're not expecting the cost of $5,000.
Yeah.
And they don't say, we'll pay
and
it
that's
out.
easy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So,
light on
yeah.
you. Yeah, if you're talking grave marker.
Yeah. So
yeah,
when I
burial.
I want to maybe do something like that. In
Okay.
Foundation.
And then are you just kind of self-funded on the trips and
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. People have asked to pay me for my speaking engagements, and I'll be honest right now.
Right.
I would feel guilty.
Well,
taking money, to
You
be
could
honest
also
with you.
just donate it directly to Grace to Change.
Yeah, and that's
they
what I'm
could-
probably.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I just became members of TXAF, which is Texans Against Fentanyl, which is the Tucker's Law.
Okay.
And I'm on the Collin County Pod thing where I'm going to do the outreach and I think go do the speakings and
Okay.
everything. Eventually, yes, if we take money from the school districts that will pay us, I don't mind taking their money.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do
Right.
That, sort of
Yeah.
anything that's government or state.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
So,
well,
appreciate it.
and I appreciate you getting, coming on and telling your story and being so transparent in such a awkward and painful situation. You know? But did you have any questions or no? Just a lot, huh?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I think that the way that you're presenting it is important with the poisoning versus like the overdose. I mean, even any addict doesn't deserve to die just because we've all been addicts, right? Like, I don't think there's any point in my addiction like I deserve to die. And it's unfortunate that the society just thinks, oh, well, you're an addict and
Yeah.
you're choosing that. And like,
Yeah, no,
okay,
I
you
just,
know, and it's just not.
That is a
Nuts.
key because a lot of people will say, well, they're addicts.
Yeah.
And I said, well, here's the deal. Nobody
Yeah.
woke up,
Right.
freshman in high school and looked at mom and dad and said, hey, I know you wanted me to go to college, but I'm going to try this drug addict thing for a while.
Right.
Right.
Chad
See
did.
if that works. I mean, yeah, Chad did.
But anyway, well, I appreciate you coming out, and Soraya Nicole, as
Yes.
always, thank you for being a ray of sunshine
Thank you.
on this turd of a show.
I'm innocent.
All right, and Chadwick, always thank you. Next
You're
week,
not welcome.
Next, okay, cool.
Mike is and Soraya is, but you are not.
Right on, perfect. And Chad incessantly chewing
Not
gum.
just yes, that part. Girl.
I waited till the end.
Yuck.
I was like, oh.
Yuck. Anyway, remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety because if there was, we would all take too many.
Activate.